Today's daf is Masechtas Nedarim, daf Dalin. So we are at the bottom of Gimel and Beis, where the Gemara just brought. We had a machlekes, Reb Shimon and Rabbanon. So the Mishnah said that if a person says he's a Nazir only from Chartzanim, only from, let's say, Chartzanim, Zagim, or Taglachas, one of the things that a Nazir is Asur in, then the halacha is he's a Nazir. So the Gemara said that's like Reb Shimon, because Reb Shimon says you only chayev only if a Nazir asks himself in all of them. So the Gemara says the Mishnah is Rabbanan. So the Gemara says, where does Reb Shimon know this from? The pasuk says Mikoil Hashiyaasim Yigefan Mechtzayim Azag. Where does Rabbanan know his thing that one of them is enough? Because it says again, it says the second time in the pasuk Miyayim V'Sheichar. So it's coming to tell you that besides for Mikoil Hashiyaasim Yigefan Yayin, it's also coming to tell you that if he specifies one of these surim is Asur. So the Gemara asks, the Gemara, Reb Shimon Nami Yoksiv Miyayim V'Sheichar. The third line from the bottom of Gimel Beis, Reb Shimon Nami Yoksiv Miyayim V'Sheichar Yazir. So why does the Torah say Yayim V'Sheichar again if he doesn't hold that it's coming to teach you the drush of the Rabbanon? So the Gemara, when we lesser Yayim Mitzvah Kein Rishos, he holds coming to say that a Nazir has an isser to drink Yayin of Mitzvah like he has an isser to eat Yayin Rishos. That's not a Mitzvah. So Zok the Gemara, Maihi, what's the Yayin Shal Mitzvah? Kedusha of Avdalta, Yayin of Kiddush and Havdalah. Frak the Gemara, is the chiyuv to drink wine by Kiddush and Havdalah, is it minat Torah that you'd have to tell me, the pasuk would have to tell you that it's asur for Nazir to asur, the Torah would have to asur on a Nazir? It's only a chiyuv d'Rabbanan. It's pasuk that you can't be, it wouldn't be madcha isser Nazirus, which is d'oraisa. So like the Gemara, Elaki hadam arava. Rather, it's going, this one Rava said, Shvuah she'eshteh v'chazav amarini Nazir. If he made a shvuah first, that he's going to drink wine, and then he said he's going to be a Nazir, and he becomes asur in wine with Mela, the halacha is, asur Nazirus chayla al shvuah. That the isser Nazirus is chal on a shvuah, and he's asur even b'yayin, that he made a shvuah that he's going to drink it, and he becomes asur. So, Zakti Gemara, this halacha, Reb Shimon learned from the pasuk, that it says Miyayim V'Sheichar Yazir. The fact that it says it the second time. Zok Neheli Gemara Vayit. V'Rabbanon Nami Boile Lesa Yayim Mitzvah Kein Rishos. L'Chayr Rabbanon also, they should need the pasuk to ask Yayim Mitzvah Yayin Rishos. So Zok the Gemara Im Kain Le Mikra Miyayim. So L'Chayr, the problem is Rabbanon use it to tell you that he's asur. They don't use it for that, right? The Rabbanon hold that it's come to tell you that even if he asurs on one thing, it becomes asur. Zok the Gemara, Im kain le mikra miyayin. Why does it say in the pasuk? Why does it say in the pasuk? The pasuk uses a lashon. It says miyayin v'sheichar yazir. It should say miyayin v'sheichar. I'm sorry, no, it's not the kasha. The kasha is, it says miyayin v'sheichar. So shaila is, what's v'sheichar? Why didn't you say miyayin yazir? What does Torah say v'sheichar? The shemami no atarti. It's coming to tell you this both things. From yayin you learn out that Nazir becomes asur even yayin shal mitzvah, and from sheichar you learn out that from being makabel Nazirus, isser of Nazirus is chal on. So the Gemara is saying that the Rabbanon, they hold that the pasuk is telling you both. Why? Because the fact that it says yayin, it tells you that he's asur even yayin shel mitzvah. And the fact that it says sheichar b'chlal, it's telling you that kabbalah series of isser is chal on from Kabbalah's Naziris of one of the Yisurim is Chal Naziris Gemara. Okay, so those are both halachas. Affecting Gemara for Reb Shimon, Hainu time the cost of Sheikha. According to Reb Shimon, Sheikha is extra. What does he use that for? So the Gemara La Lufe Sheikha LaMikdash. The Torah added another time to say Sheikha to tell you because there is Shava the Indian the Isra Avoida in the Beis Hamikdash for Suyayim for people that drink wine. Because it says Lagabe when the Torah is Mitzvah Aaron and his kids that they should not be over the Beis Hamikdash when they're Sui Yain. It says in the pasuk of Vayikra Parak Vav Parak Yud pasuk Tez Yain v'Shecha al Teish Ato v'Necha Itach, and we dash in the Gezer Shava Malagabe Nazir Yain who the Lataser Al Vashar Mashkin Loi. Just like Abe Nazir you find it says Shecha there, and he's only also in Yayin, but Sheikha Nazir is not Asr, right? Afgabi Mikdash Nami Yayin Ulatas is only Asr in Yayin Su Yayin Aval Shar Mashkin Amshtakar and anything else that makes someone drunk, any other alcohol makes somebody drunk. Loi is no Issa doing Avoid the Misa Mikdash. Lafukin Rabbi Yehuda, and it's Lafuke Shitas Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanya learned the rise of Yehuda. Yehuda says Achal Devela Keilis, if a Koyin eats devela keilis, a place called keila, the shasa dvash v'chalav, and he drinks honey or milk that are mashakar like yain, and nichas hamikdash. Halacha is that he's chayiv malchus. So that's where Yehuda holds. However, Zakta Gemara, that Reb Shimon does not hold like that. So it's machlekes Reb Shimon and Yehuda if it's anything that's meshakar or dafki yayin. Zok the Gemara, boy say, I can tell you another pshat what Reb Shimon does with sheichar. Reb Shimon lesle isachal eser. He does not hold that it can be eser naisif. The Tanya Reb Shimon Omer ha'eichol nevelim yom kippurim pater. Reb Shimon holds the nevelim could be a pater on the isra achila yom kippurim because the isra yom kippur can't be chal on isra nevela. And you only chayiv malchus, so there's no chiv karas. You only chayiv malchus as esa nevela. So too, if a guy makes a shvuah not to drink wine, and then he's makabel on himself in the naziris, and he's over on the naziris, and he actually drinks wine, so he will not get malchus because of naziris, because he first made a shvuah, he first made a esa shvuah, a regular shvuah. So therefore, it says sheichar to tell you that the esa naziris is chal on the Issa Shvuah, and B'Kahai Gavni, you get two Malchus, one for Issa Shvuah and one for the Issa Naziris. Zaktim Marabayter, Rabbanon Nami, that hold that you can become a Nazir even with just answering one Issa, or Ksiv Mikalashi Yasem Migefen Hayayin. Charit says Mikoil. So what do the Rabbanon do with that drasha that Reb Shimon had? So Gemara, I'm the Rabbanon tell you Hasam Limud al Isur Nazir. Shemesavin says that it's a limud on Isur Nazir that you can mitzarv one Isur that a Nazir has to a shir kazayas of another Isur. So for instance, a Nazir eats a half a zayis of zagim and a half a zayis of chatzanim, he's chayav malchus. Reb Shimon, less leitzir, Reb Shimon does not hold that. He doesn't need to come out to tzir. For why? Because Reb Shimon holds that's also b'kolshu. The Tanya Reb Shimon b'kolshu lamakas. That if he eats something that's asur, his kolshu is chayav malchus. Le'amru kazayis elin in carbon. The whole din of kazayis that you need to come on, that there needs to be a shir kazayis, is that if somebody eats something b'shaygig, he's only chayav carbon once until he eats the kazayis. Once he eats the kazayis. But the gabe malchus, that's for chayav carbon. The gabe malchus is no shir. So Nazir, the din of Nazir, it's not shaykh tziruf, because it's not chayiv carbon on Isra Achila Shtia. Rather, as carbon comes, if he's over and he eats it, it's not chayiv carbon at all. His whole chayiv carbon only comes on when he's mashlums his days in Naziris. And the pasim kala shia asa is extra. So it's coming to tell you that. So Reb Shimon's going to come out to be extra. So Mili he holds it comes to tell you a Nazir only becomes a Nazir once he asks himself in all these surahs and Naziris. If a person says that he mentions these three names when he's Makabal himself in Naziris, or he just says Kamisha Akadal Aza, So he doesn't say that that's what Shimshon did. He uprooted the doors, the gates of the city. So that's referring to Shimshon. Or he says, Kamishan Nikru Plishtim Maseinav, they poked at his eyes. Halacha is he has a din Naziris Shimshon. He has to be Naziris Shimshon. Zakte Gemara, Lamin Lemisna Kol Halein. Why does the Mishnah have to say all these Lashonis? Kishimshin, Kibem Manoyach, Kabal Lila. L'chayra, it's Pashat, all of them helps for Kabbalah's Naziris. Like the Gemara Tzrichi, you need to list all of them in the Mishnah. The Amareni Kishimshin, if it would just say Areni Kishimshin, how many Shimshon Achrina? I would say that his Kavana means, his Kavana is for another Shimshon that there is in the world, and maybe he wasn't Nischaven to accept Naziris on himself. Kamash Malon, Kibem Manoyach. Kamash Malon, that no, that he has to say specifically Kabem Manoyach. V'itana Kabem Manoyach. And if it would say, it means even if he said Harein Kishimshin Kabem Manoyach, maybe it's still not Halichacha for Naziris, because maybe Hamamini Kadim Miskirachim, maybe there's somebody that actually has that name, Kamash Malon. The Tana that he has to say Kabal Dalila, Kamisha Kurpushta Misainov. Set to Gemara saying Kamash Malan, he has to say Kabal Lilo or that he has to say Shanakar Plishmas Einav or Akadas Aza or Kimishanakar Plishmas Einav. So it's not enough. Come to in the Gemara, that's really not enough if he just says Kishim Shukubay Manay Kabal Lilo. It has to be that it's Bitsir if he said, let's say Kimisha Akadas Aza. That's a parallel. Taisus seems to explain it, at least in the beginning of Taisus. Not like the Pashup shot in the Mishnah. Pashup shot in the Mishnah, you read the Mishnah saying, if it says Areni Kishim Shukubem and Echbal Lila, it's considered a Kabbal's Aziris. Okay, Zok the Mishnah. Zok the Mishnah Vayder. Ma being Nazir Oilam the Nazir Shimshon. What's the difference between a Nazir Oilam or a Nazir Shimshon? They're both Nazirim forever, for their whole lives, as long as they live. Zok the Gemara, Zok the Mishnah, Nazir Oilam. If his hair gets too much for him, then he could take some off with a razor. But he's allowed to cut some off with a razor, they're not allowed to cut off everything. And maybe Shalosh Behemoths, the day that he takes off his hair, he brings 3 behemoths. Vim Nitma, if he needs Matamil, Mason, maybe Karman Tumah, he brings a Karman Tumah, but Nazir Shimshon. Hichbet Sa'are ain't a Mekel, he's never allowed to cut his hair. Vim Nitma, any more Karman Tumah, if he becomes tummy, he does not bring a Karman Tumah because Nazir Shimshon is allowed to Tamil Mason. Zok the Hiligumar, Fraktigumar, Nazir Olam Mandachashme, who said anything until now about Nazir Shimshon that the Mishnah is asking already, like what's the difference in a Nazir Shimshon and Nazir Olam? So Gemara Chasuri Machsara, Tana is missing a couple of words, V'hachi Katani, Ha'imar Harin Nazir Olam, then Harin is a Nazir Olam. And then once it says a Kabbalah or Naziris in such a lashon, then the Mishnah says, "Ma'amir is bin Nazir Olam Nazir Shimshon." Zok the Mishnah Nazir Olam Hichbatzar Mekabatar maybe Shalosh Behemoths or Nitma maybe Karman Tumah. However, Nazir Shimshon Hichbatzar he's now allowed to be Mekabatar. He's never allowed to cut anything off. But any maybe Karman Tumah. Zok the Gemara Vayter. The Mishnah said, "And Nazir Shimshon any maybe Karman Tumah." Zok the Gemara carbon and Lulamais it's mashma. He doesn't bring a carbon. Alva Naziris Chayla, it's mashma that Naziris is chal on him, and he's not allowed to be Matamir to a mace. Zok Gemara Mani Vasnisan, who's going like Loyer Yehuda Loyer Reb Shimon? It's not like Yehuda or Reb Shimon. Tani Yehuda Aimer Yehuda says Nazir Shimshon Mutter L'Tam L'Mesim Mutter L'Tam L'Mesim, and he's only Aser and Yain and Deglachas. She came and seen him B'Shimshon Shenit because he find that Shimshon was L'Tam L'Mesim. Reb Shimon says Ha'Aimer Nazir Shimshon L'Amer Klum. It's nothing. Shalem Tzina B'Shimshon Yatsa Naziris B'Fif. You don't find that Shimshon is ever Mekabel Naziris. Rather, he was a Nazir from his mother's stomach. He's read in the Skadish. He never actually accepted himself as Naziris. So Dr. Maramani, who's a Mishnah, Ir Yehuda, he says, Shafil Echatchila, he's allowed him Tamil the Mason, Sneeze and Gatani Im Nitma. And the Mishnah says, Im Nitma is Mash Echatchila, he's not allowed to be Tamil Mason. Ir Shimon, Amalei Chayla Nazir's Klal. Ever since Shimon, he says, Shimon's Shita is that there's no Nazir's Bechlal on a Nazir Shimshon. And the Mishnah is mashma that there is some Nazir Satzchal. So at Gemara Lo Elam Yehuda, Vaz Kun like Yehuda. The kasha was that the Mishnah's mashma l'chatchili nali b'tam l'meisim. Zakti Gemara. Tana gabi Nazir oilam and nitma. Tana nam gabi Nazir shimshin and nitma. Avada Rabbi Yehuda Taka holds. Avada the Mishnah Taka holds l'chatchila is maton tam l'meisim. So why is a mashma im that's only the Eved? That's only because the Mishnah is saying that there's an isser for Nazir oilam. So mela tana gabi in a shimshin saying a similar lashon. But Avada it's lav dafka. Zakt Gemara lema beplukta dehari tanai kimiflagi. Saying machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and Shimon are arguing these machlekes tanam. The time we learned in the Mishnah are really like a bechor. If somebody says that this kikar, this bread should be also on me like a bechor behemoth tehira, Rabbi Yaakov Oiser, Rabbi Yaakov Aser is the kikar like a neder, and Rabbi Yosi is mater, he holds his mutter. Zakt Gemara my lav. Rabbi Yehuda that holds that when somebody says Harini Kishimshin and Nazir is chal, even though Shimshin was chal mela, Savalak Rabbi Yaakov, he's the one that holds like Rabbi Yaakov Damar Labin and Davar Anider. He holds the noider does not have to be matas his neder and something that's asr al yedei neder, even if he's matas his neder and something that Torah already asked like a bechor, then that is chal. However, Rabbi Shimon Savalak Rabbi Yosi, maybe Rabbi Shimon it says that Naziris Davar being Davar Hanider, he holds that you have to be matas neder and Davar Hanider and not like a bechor. So therefore, the matvis and Shimshin, which the Kabbalah of Nazir Shimshin was not actually a day of Kabbalah, therefore you're not a Nazir. Maybe that's Pshana Reb Shimon. That's why Reb Shimon says Le'amar Klum. So tomorrow, Lloyd, the Kul Alma being a Davar Neder. Everybody agrees that when you're making a neder, you have to be Toifus in a Davar Neder. But Shaniga Bechar, by Bechar, it's different. That although the Kedusha happens by itself, that it's born a Bechar, Rabbi Yaakov holds that the reason why you could be matas in it, because the chesiv is a special reason. It means normally you can't be matas in something that it's not davar neder. But over there it says the chesiv la Hashem. It says specifically, B'midah Paraklam Pasuk Gimel Ishkin Ned la Hashem. So Hashem's coming to tell you, Rabbi Sabachar, that even though Bechor is Kaddish Memela, you could allow to be matas in it. Rabbi Yosi Amar Lacha, Rabbi Yosi holds, Hahu Lashem Yibayli Rabbi's Chatas V'Asham. It's not coming to Mar Bechor, rather it's coming to Marba Chatas and Asham that you allow to be matas to them. So, fracting more Isla rabbis, why does Rabbi Yosi hold coming to matas Chatas Marba Chatas V'Asham? You can matas to them. Lahoitzis Bechor. Why would you not say it's coming to include Bechar? It's like the more Rabbani Chatz V'Asham Shekain Matfisa Beneder Umaytani Yisa Bechar She'ein Matfisa Beneder. So at Gemara, you know why? Because the Mar B'Chatz V'Asham, because their Chiv only comes al Yedei Neder, and the Kedusha does not come in Mela. Rather comes, you have to maksh them as a carbon, so therefore it's considered davar neder. And you might say bechar because you don't have to maksh it b'diber. It's kaddish by itself. It's born a bechar, so it's kaddish. It's not, and it's not a davar neder b'klal. For Rabbi Yaakov that holds that tvasa is chal on a bechar, Amar Allah he holds bechar not matfisa b'neder. He says that a bechar is also matfisa b'neder. You have to be makshir nether because the Tanya, like we learned in Bryce, the Tanya. So Beis Rabbeinu Amru, Beis Rabbeinu said, "Minayin le'noilad le'bechor b'seich edroi." That it's a mitzvah of lakdisha. It's a mitzvah for him to makshir. Shenebar. It says in pasuk in Devarim, parak tesvav pasuk yites, kol habechor, and then it says hazachor takdish. So since a mitzvah to be makshir is considered a davar anider. Rabbi Yosi Amalacha, what does Rabbi Yosi say to that? Nehida mitzvah lakdisha, but you makdish le'mil kaddish. He's saying it's not ma'akev you makdish it, it's a mitzvah to makdish it, but it still works. So Mela, since it's not tali and hektish to kedushim, and Mela, it's not considered a davar either. So now the Gemara wants to know, Gabi Nazir Nami Hoksiv Lashem. How come by Reb Shimon is it loyam or klum? If somebody says Harein Nazir Shimsha, why is it loyam or klum? It says Lashem, Lahazir Lashem, B'midah Parak Pasuk Beis. So you should be married from a word Lashem, Hatvasa and Naziris Shimshin. So Gemara, who miboyle Tanya, you need that Pasuk Lashem to tell you, like I learned in the Brisa, Amar Shem Tzadik, Shimon HaTzadik said, "Min yomi lo echalti asham nazir tamei." I never ate in my life a asham nazir tamei, because maybe because he was a Srabi, he made Naziris, he regretted on his Kabbalah, and his karbanos that the Nazir bought, maybe they were chul mazara. So he said, I never want to eat from a carbon of a Asham Nazir. I was afraid it's chul mazara. Chutz me'adam echad shaboy ilay min adarm. Besides, for somebody that came from the south, and he bought a Nazir, and he bought a Asham Nazir Tamei, and that person was Yifei Inayim V'Toy Roy. He looked good. V'Kut Soisav Seduris Leital Talim. His hair was nicely lined up on his neck. Amarti Loin, I told him, B'ni Mora Isa L'Shachai Seir No Ezeh. Why are you Mekabel Nazirus? If at the end of the Nazirus you're going to have to cut off your hair. Amarli Raya Hayisila Avi Be'iri. I was a pastor for my father in my city. I once went to take water from the wellspring. I looked I glimpsed at a picture of me. I looked down in the water and I saw myself, and the Yetzer Hara started coming on me and brought me Lidei Hira Avera. And with that, he wanted to take away my Olam Haba. Amarti Loi, I told my Yetzer Hara, meaning he told himself, Reika, why are you getting so excited about something that never belonged to you just because he looked good? It's not something that he did. It was something that something that Hashem gave him. And also, Seifcha Liesrim V'Saleya. One day you'll be part of the dirt once he's dead. So he made a shvua that I'm gonna cut it off l'shem shemayim. Kalmo naziris, and then I'll cut off the hair. And Shimon HaTzadik went, Amanti Shaktiv al Rosh, he kissed him on his head. Amarti Loi Kamoischa Yir B'Nazim Yisrael. There should be a lot of Nazirim like you in Klal Yisrael. Lecha HaKasav Omer, on you the pasuk says, Ishki Yafli Lidner Nezer Lahazel Hashem. And that Lashem is mashma, that is Mekamel Naziris Lashem Hashem. And since that Naziris is same Shemayim, so therefore Shimon HaTzadik said, I ate from that Asham Nazir, because that was a legitimate Naziris, because he was Mekamel Lashem Shemayim. Frakti Gemara V'Shimshim Lam Nazir Havi. Is it true that according to Reb Shimon's Shita, Shimshon was not Neider Naziris? Was he not a Nazir? Ayideh is Neder. V'Ksivki Nazir Likim Ya'anaran Abetin. Says that the Malach told his mother that his father should make a Neder on his Naziris after he's born. So the Chayr was Ayideh Neder that his father made. So the Gemara Hasa Malach Hudika Amar. The Malach said it B'derech Nevuah that he's going to be a Nazir, a Nazir after he's born, but it wasn't B'derech Tzivud that his father should be Kabul Naziris with a neder. That wasn't the context. That's the Gemara saying. Zok the Gemara weiter. Now the Gemara is going to discuss the fact that Rabbi Yehuda said that Shimshon was Natam Lamesim. Zok the Gemara, Manolan Natam Lamesim. How does Rabbi Yehuda know that? Elaim Vichsev, if you're going to say, because it says in the Pasuk and Shayf in Parak Tazayim, Pasuk Tazayim, Bil Chiach Hamori Kesi, Elef Ish. So maybe you see from there that he's in Tamal Mason, because it says he killed people. Maybe he threw something at them from far, arrow, and he killed them without actually getting near them and coming tame. It's like the Gemara Mahacha for the pasuk in Shayf in Paragadal, pasuk Yates, where it says V'yach mehem shloishim ish v'yikach chalit tzoisam. It said he killed 30 people from the Plishtim and he took their clothing. So the Chayr, when he took off their clothing, that he touched them and became tame. So for Gemara Dilma Ashachinam Bereisha v'Hadar Katlina. Maybe he took off the clothes first and then he killed them. How do you know they were already killed? So the Gemara, it's not possible to say that. Why? Because it says Vayach Vayikach Siv. It's Masha, first he hit them and then he took the clothes. For the Gemara with Duma Gois and Shavina, maybe they weren't dead yet when he took off their clothes. They were just dying, but maybe they died afterwards. Maybe he took off their clothes before they died. It's like Gemara, El Gemara Gemila. So Piach Shmuel, they learned out that before He killed them and then he took off their clothes.